Fusters, fall is here. Right now, we're in the spookiest month of all. But do you know what I find the most scary? It's the thought of showing up to all these friends and family meals over the next couple of months empty-handed. Why not take the pressure off and look like an expert in the process? Join the Community Wine and Spirits monthly wine club, the Mutual Satisfaction Society. You'll receive 3 carefully selected bottles every month, complete with tasting notes and detailed information on each wine. All for $90. Join in the next 24 hours and get 20% off your first shipment. Want fancier wine? They got you. Join the Mutual Satisfaction Society Plus for extra satisfaction. $150 will get you 3 very special bottles. Let them take the trouble out of selecting great wines that you will love. Your first shipment is 20% off just for listening to View the Right Thing. Join the community today at www.communitywineandspirits.com or DM them at CommunityWS.
On this episode of View the Right Thing, it's a special back-to-back review of the first 2 installments in a legendary film franchise. An escaped mental patient returns to his hometown to continue the killing spree he began 15 years prior. An innocent babysitter, Laurie Strode, is his target. And in part 2, Laurie uncovers a disturbing secret that binds her and her would-be killer together. Wes and Alexis give us their review of the films that nearly single-handedly shaped the popular slasher horror genre in Halloween and Halloween 2 on View the Right Thing.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of View the Right Thing. I'm Wes.
And I'm Alexis.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Wes.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
I'm fully not prepared for the intro today. It's not going well in my brain, at least. So I can't imagine it's going to go well here.
It's great. Welcome to View the Right Thing.
Yeah. So let's start with, if you're new here, it's a movie podcast that's sort of like a book club. So at the end of the episode, we'll draw a movie. So you have a week to watch the movie. You come back and listen to 2 friends talk about that movie. So it's pretty exciting. We're going to have, you know what? I don't know if the pork bucket has ever been on the video of the podcast. And so today it can make its debut on video.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
It's very special.
It is special. I feel like we must have used the bucket on video, but I don't think we've featured, I think it's always below frame.
Correct.
Let's make sure the pork gets seen today.
I like that.
Yeah.
Prominently placed.
Yeah. And review, comment, subscribe. We're all over the place. So whatever you're listening to us on, do nice things for us.
Please.
And most important, join our Patreon, patreon.com/VTRTmovies.
Woohoo.
Yeah, you can get shout outs, you can get you can watch movies with the community, you can watch video versions of this podcast, which are exclusive to Patreon most of the time. So yeah, that's what's up.
Awesome.
That is what's up. Anything going on exciting to talk about?
Oh boy.
Did you save anything for us?
Did I save anything?
Yeah.
Life's just going along.
Life's just going along. Yeah.
You know what? Here's something fun. The woman who I really wanted to be my understudy said yes.
So she's going to be your understudy.
Yes.
This is just, okay, for the listeners,
yes.
This is Alexis's way of humble bragging that she's a lead in a play and she has an understudy.
She made a joke, though, before I told her that I was the role she was understudying. She's like, well, as long as whoever it is isn't more talented than me and I have to pull a showgirls and push her down the stairs. And I was like, oh, yeah. Please don't push me down the stairs.
You are 100% getting poisoned before opening night. She's going to be bringing, do you want some tea with lemon? Do you want some tea with lemon?
That'd be lovely. Thank you.
Arsenic. My stomach lining.
So that's a bonus. I love her dearly, and I'm so excited that she'll actually have performances. Like I'm giving away some of my performances so that she can be
again humble brag. I am so kind.
Oh my God. This is not. I just think she's really, really talented, and she had like too many.
Are you allowed to say who she is?
Yeah, Joan Kubitschek.
Joan Kubitschek. Okay.
She's wonderful.
Okay.
And we really wanted for her to audition for the show.
Yeah.
But like she's in a bunch of weddings.
So she didn't audition?
So she couldn't. She's like, I don't think I wouldn't be able to do all the performances.
So this wasn't like somebody who auditioned and didn't get a part, and so you're throwing her a bone. This is somebody who didn't audition, and you specifically wanted to do this.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. That's less of a humble brag now. Because it's a little less like, oh yeah, I won out over this person, and now she's my minion.
No. She was in the reading, and she was so fantastic, and I thought it was important for her to be able to perform because she's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's exciting.
So Joan, you're awesome.
I'm gonna go see her instead of you.
It's gonna be such a better show.
Oh, come on. Anything else? Anything else going on?
Anything else going on? No.
How's life? You doing any seamstressing jobs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always doing seamstressing jobs.
But I'm really excited because one of my favorite parts of October is getting to work on Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And my buddy Joe, who I have been making Halloween costumes for like the last 10 years, not counting last year, because last year he was like, I don't want to do anything. I get to make his costume again this year, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to get a Halloween costume made?
That can vary.
Of course.
His are much more intricate.
Yeah.
Like he's been Maleficent and
oh wow.
Cruella de Vil.
Do you post these anywhere? Like
I have
Instagram or?
I need to be better about it. I'm terrible about my seamstress like promoting it.
Yeah, you should.
It's all just word of mouth. That's how people hear about me.
Yeah, but our listeners might want to see the stuff you're doing.
Yes. Well, I'll make sure to update. I'm on Instagram at Seamstress Alexis.
Seamstress.
You can go to my website, which is www.seamstressalexis.com. I just keep it super simple. Email address, seamstressalexis@gmail.com.
Seamstress Alexis, not Mistress Alexis. That's a different person that does a different type of Instagram.
That is not me. I do not do those. No.
I don't know. I'm just assuming there's a Mistress Alexis out there. So yeah, there's got to be right.
I mean, that's great. That's a great nickname, Mistress Alexis. But that's not me. I'm a seamstress. I'm not a mistress in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I'm damn good at sewing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you've sewn a thing or two for me before.
Yes, I need to bring you your. I know. I have. I have your hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
I need to bring it next time.
I had a broken pocket, and so she took my hoodie.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to have it back because it's my favorite Spider-Man hoodie.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I got other hoodies. I don't wear hoodies very often. This is not the time of year for me to be wearing hoodies. So, so within the next couple months, hopefully.
I'll make sure to put it in my car the night before next time we record.
Before New Year. That's my hope, because that's when it's going to be raining and kind of cold here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
when I'll need a hoodie, is when it rains. That's actually primarily when I use a hoodie, is when I take Walt out for a walk in the morning. Mm-hmm. And because I wear glasses, I don't like the rain on my glasses, so I just pull the hoodie up over my head, and that helps me.
Yeah, that's fair. That is one of the bummers of wearing glasses.
So
the rain speckles, and we don't have it that much here, but going from cold outdoors to warm indoors, and it's suddenly just like fog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when everybody was wearing masks a lot, that was problematic. And I'll tell you, I like Universal Studios, but they have a desire to squirt you with water on every attraction and ride they have. You go on the tour, you get squirted with water. You go on Jurassic Park, squirted with water. Mummy, squirted with water.
Clearly created by someone who has good vision.
Yeah. serious bias against glasses wearers.
Gosh.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been sporting glasses since second grade.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's burn something down.
Oh, God.
Burn anything. You know, I use pair eyewear.
Huh?
So my top frames, they change out. For the people that are watching, they can see I'm wearing it's one of my Halloween pairs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the diversity I have with that. So my glasses are clear, and then I can just, like, they're magnetic and just pop a different thing on there. So if I want to wear Spider-Man, I can wear Spider-Man. If I go to a baseball game, I can wear Mariners, or a hockey game, I can wear the Kraken, go Kraken. And yeah, I really like that.
Nice.
And they're constantly coming out with new things.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I pitched an idea. I may have mentioned this on the podcast before. To pair. I put it out on I don't know, some social media, and they liked it. And I think they might have commented that's a good idea, but then nothing happened. And I was like, because they do all these licensed things.
Yeah.
And I said, pair, you need to pair up. You need to work with Real D, who does the 3D movies in theaters. Because if you could just pop the little 3D glasses right on your real glasses, so that way...
Don't you just need a red and a blue lens?
Well, no, it's like polarized lenses now. It's not... When was the last time you went to a 3D movie? 1977? Jesus.
Wait, it's different. I haven't been to a 3D something.
Yeah, they're polarized. They're like sunglasses, kind of.
Oh, I'm just like thinking back to when I went to Disney World with my grandparents when I was 9.
It was not red.
And we saw
there, was it?
Totally was.
Oh, you saw Captain EO or something.
It was a Muppets thing.
Oh, even the Muppets 3D now is like not red blue.
Oh, well.
It's been a long time for you. All right, we'll watch a 3D movie here. I have like I think it's in our bucket. I think Wizard of Oz is in our bucket, and I have it in 3D, and it's polarized. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I really hope I pull that one next.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I think Wizard of Oz is in there.
That is so cool.
It would make sense that would be in there.
Are we gonna, like, when we pull it, are we gonna put on Dark Side of the Moon at the same time?
No.
You know it syncs up.
Yeah, I know it syncs up. I've done it.
Me too.
Yeah.
In high school, it was forever ago.
Yeah.
But like,
it makes you feel like you're one of the I'm just gonna say the cool kids that do drugs, but it's probably not what I should be saying.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs.
You can do some drugs.
Just say no.
You smoke the marijuana, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Eat some gummies. It's fine.
They should just legalize drugs. Yeah, why not?
Why? Because then it's not as like taboo, and it's like, oh, go ahead and do it.
Legalize it and help people that have trouble instead of criminalizing their use of it.
This is true. They do that in the Netherlands,
and it's great revenue for taxes.
Oh, yeah.
No, just saying.
But then people aren't going to want to do the drugs because they're taxed and it's expensive.
Oh no, then people will do less drugs.
Oh no. What a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways, whatever.
Off of that tangent.
Yeah. How do we get on drugs? Cool kids. Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you feel like you're like a kid who's gonna get high and watch Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz, right?
Right.
But you and I were good kids, so we didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah, we're lame.
No.
I mean, a little.
Oh.
So it makes us lovable.
Okay.
That's what I tell myself when I cry myself to sleep at night.
Oh. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Well, we could talk about the movies that we're here to talk about. Happy spooky month. Thanks for joining us for all of the Halloween type films. So we did a special double feature of Halloween 2. So 1978, 1981, I think. 3 years apart.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
3 years. Starring what's her face?
JLC. Jamie Lee Curtis.
JLC.
That's many notes. I'm like, JLC.
Yeah. There are many Jamie Lee Curtis connections throughout these films. So we'll cover that shortly. I like that furrowed brow you gave me.
There are many Jamie Lee Curtis connections.
Yeah, oh yeah.
In the film.
In these movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Some coincidences and some specific things.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you tell us what these movies are about?
Do you want me to read for both of them or just the first one?
Let's just do the first one and then we can do the second one.
Okay. So Halloween. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night 1963, Michael Myers escapes from the mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill again.
Yes.
I don't think Haddonfield that really exists.
I don't think so either.
It's definitely not filmed in Illinois.
No, it's filmed in California for sure. The county that they is in the second one, I think. They mentioned the county, and the county also doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The county does exist in another state, which is where maybe the writer is from, or maybe John Carpenter is from. I can't remember.
John Carpenter is the writer.
Of both of them?
Yeah. Not the second one. Well, I know he's the writer. He and Deborah Hill.
Somebody's from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
None of them.
And I think the county of that Haddonfield is in the movies is actually the county that Bowling Green, Kentucky is in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want to say it's John Carpenter, but I could be wrong. But anyways.
I do not know.
You told me you took a lot of notes.
I took a lot of notes.
I'm really excited for that.
Side note, yes, John Carpenter is from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, okay. So Halloween is included among the American Film Institute's 2001 list of top 100 most heart-pounding American movies.
Yeah.
It was selected in 2006 for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here comes the question. Alexis, did you enjoy this movie, this first one?
No.
What? Why not?
I mean, yes and no.
Like you enjoy... Okay, let's break this down.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Because I don't like being scared.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just not something... Some people really enjoy getting scared.
Sure.
I do not.
Yeah.
And
You got scared?
I did.
I did hear you jump pretty early in the film. But most of this movie you were pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I felt like you were more vocal in the second one.
Yeah.
'Cause it's more graphic.
Yes, that is true. It was a lot more graphic.
Yeah.
I will say, of the two, I liked the first one more.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. The first movie, had a budget of about $300,000. Whopping budget. I mean, that's still a lot of money for 1978.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty low. They shot the movie in 20 days. So they only spent 20 days on it. $300,000. It went on to gross $47 million in the box office.
Holy cannoli.
So that's like, 100 and something million today. 150, 160 million today. And Deborah Hill, who was one of the producers, she was also John Carpenter's girlfriend at the time.
They both wrote it together.
She took a cut of the profit. That was the deal that she made, was that she would get a cut of the profit. And so she made some money.
Dang. Yeah. Well done, Deborah.
Yeah. Okay, so what you got note-wise?
I loved that it was introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
I had not realized this was her first.
Yeah. And she wasn't the first choice. She was wanted for the film.
Why?
Why was she wanted?
Yeah.
She comes from Scream Queen royalty.
This is true.
And so there are several references and coincidences with this film. So, one, obviously, she's the daughter of Janet Leigh. Sorry, I almost said her name again. Jamie Lee Curtis. Daughter of Janet Leigh, who was famously in Psycho. Psycho features a detective character by the name of Sam Loomis.
Oh my God.
Also, Donald Pleasance's character, Sam Loomis. The actress that plays her best friend, Annie, in the film, her last name is also Loomis. Yeah, so there's some interesting.
Wait, in the movie, her last name is
No,
Loomis?
in real life.
In real life.
In real life.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And I had read, I don't know exactly the veracity of this, but I had read that Universal was in the process of making Psycho 2. They were like trying to get that off the ground. It didn't come out till like the 80s, till 1983, till after the
That was
second
with Meg Tilly, right?
Meg Tilly? Was she in Psycho 2?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll go with it. They wanted Jamie Lee for Psycho 2 to sort of like bridge that, have that connection. But
yeah.
But yeah, she did this and a bunch of other things. But
wow. Oddly enough, I have seen Psycho 2.
Oh, okay.
Which is why.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's wild.
And later on so they came back 20 years later and did a film with Jamie Lee as part of this Halloween franchise. They did a bunch of really bad ones. They did episode 3.
Star Wars?
No, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Uh-huh.
It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It's a complete break. And then they come back in 4 and bring back Michael Myers, and they did a whole bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. And then I think they took a break for a little bit, and then they did H2O, which is H20, 20 years later. And they bring back
H2O.
Yeah. They bring back Laurie Strode, who's like changed her name, and she has a son, and Josh Hartnett. And her secretary is none other than Janet Leigh.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. They got to be in a movie together.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. And it was a horror movie, and
yes,
connected to Jamie Lee's beginning of her career, which kind of happened because of her mom being a scream queen. So it's like a really nice connection. So there's
really cool
Psycho connections with this movie. Yeah. The Loomis thing too has been used a lot. A lot of movies like to do that. Final Destination does it. Famously Scream
using
does
Loomis.
It. Yeah, the Loomis connection. That people use that name a lot. The Loomis.
Does that have any connection to something?
Just Psycho. It's just the character in Psycho.
Okay.
It's just like it's like probably one of the most recognizable horror films of all time.
Yeah.
And so people like to connect to that.
Okay. I wasn't sure if prior to Psycho, if Loomis meant something.
No, but Billy Loomis is the Scream character.
Yes.
Then,
yes.
And then his mother in the second one.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
Weird.
Yeah. So some cool.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
I wrote Illinois, of course.
Because you're from Illinois?
Well, maybe. But also there have been a few psychotic people in Illinois who murder people.
Who? Yeah, she's all talk.
John Wayne Gacy?
He's from Illinois? The guy that dressed up like clowns and put children under his house?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know he's from Illinois.
Yeah.
I believe you. I just didn't know.
There have been others. For some reason, I really hope that he's not the one from Indiana. But yes, there are crazy people. What's happening?
I'm just hearing some weird static.
Yep. I was leaning on my cord.
No, it's still there. Maybe it's not in the recording, so we won't worry about it unless we hear it in the recording. Okay. We keep our headphones turned up really loud.
Yeah.
And so, because we're old, and well, at least I am. And because of that, we hear a lot of things that don't actually get picked up in the recording. Mm-hmm. So a lot of feedback type things. So it's very possible that the static is just.
It's just there.
It's somewhere there, way buried.
I was surprised that this movie, it starts out in 1963.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, where are they going with this? Does this movie take? Is it really?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Amazing.
Sorry. Exactly. Amazing.
Amazing. I got very upset when I noticed that the back door was open, and I wrote down, they left the back door open like a bunch of maniacs.
Yeah, well, it's the 60s.
I guess.
People left their doors unlocked like through the 80s.
We just never did. Oh my God. I know why we never did, because
John Wayne Gacy would live down the street.
No, because my grandparents in the 70s, their house got broken into.
Oh, okay.
And because of that, they always locked the doors.
Yeah.
So I was raised in a locked door household.
I was too, actually. But I mean, I do know that lots of people had their doors unlocked for a long time.
Yes.
Especially the older crowd. But...
Oh, yeah. And like my mom's family is from Nebraska, and they kept the doors unlocked for a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes my mom locks her doors now, but when I used to go and visit her,
it would be burglars.
She'd like have the back door unlocked. I'm like, are you crazy? Oh, no one's going to come in. I'm like, you don't know that.
Yeah, crazy people, you know?
Crazy people will do anything.
People on drugs.
Yes.
See, this is why you don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs.
You just end up in some random person's house.
Okay, so we're watching this movie.
Yeah.
And someone goes upstairs, and there's that like clown mask or something that's on the floor. And I wrote, is that a child's hand? Why is there... But I thought this was supposed to be Michael Myers, and I didn't realize that he was a little boy when he murdered his sister.
Do you want to know the best part about that?
Sure.
It wasn't actually a child's hand.
Whose hand was that?
It was Deborah Hill's hand.
She's got small hands.
Yeah, so when they needed... they only could use the kid for like a really short period of time. So...
I mean, he's barely used anyway. Yeah,
they had a really narrow window for him.
Okay.
And so whenever they needed to show the hands, they just had Deborah Hill do it. So if you actually like freeze frame the right frame, you can actually see they're kind of like manicured and lacquered. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
It then jumps to October 30th, 1978, when it was on Jeff's birthday.
Oh my gosh. Like the day he was born?
No.
Oh. I was like, that's awesome.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
No. And...
Wait, is his birthday?
The 30th.
The 30th.
October 30th.
What year and what's his social security number? No, just don't say the year.
227 98. I don't know. I don't know that information.
Yeah.
But then they say that he hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
Yeah.
So he clearly didn't speak after he murdered his sister.
Yeah.
Did he speak beforehand? Like, there's not a lot of information they give us about Michael.
No.
And why he did that.
Sometimes people are crazy.
But like so often, okay, so I listen to a lot of murder podcasts.
Yeah.
And so often the thing that causes it is a head injury.
Yeah.
Very often. Not with everyone, but like often when they like lose their damn mind, there's a head injury.
A lot of critics will point to this film and talk about morality, and that the character, it's possible that the character was maybe sexually abused, or just something that where when they see like some sort of sexual immorality, or what they view as sexual immorality, that triggers them, and that causes him to kill. So he sees his sister and Minuteman boyfriend.
Seriously. That was like a quick in and out.
It's
done.
1 minute, 6 seconds, by the way.
Oh, his poor sister.
Yeah.
Disappointed and then murdered.
Yeah. So he sees that, kills her, and then most of the he doesn't like kill any of the kids. He kills all the teenagers who are hooking up and stuff. Not all of them. I mean, in the second one, not so much.
The second one.
He does kill somebody for a need, which is his clothes, but we don't see that happen.
Oh, the truck dude.
The truck driver, yeah.
Yeah.
The mechanic.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like what we see, and so a lot of critics will point to this, is like it's a morality thing. And John Carpenter has sort of like fought that and said, no, that's not really what we were thinking. It's not really where we're going. We just see this more as a straightforward horror film. But he is defeated by someone that John Carpenter views as sexually repressed. So less about the morality of it and more about like the capability of people who or are either sexually free or sexually repressed.
Who's sexually repressed?
That would be Jamie Lee Curtis's character, because she doesn't even have a boyfriend and she spends all her time babysitting kids and stuff, right?
Yeah.
She's not experiencing the thing that all of her friends are.
Okay.
And the sexually free kids, all the teenagers that get killed, the reason that they get killed is because they're so busy having sex that they don't notice there's a killer on the loose, right? No, I mean that's literally what's going on in the film.
Yeah.
And then the one person who does kill him, well, it doesn't kill him, but fights him off, penetrates him multiple times, right?
Yeah.
With a knife, with a knitting needle, with so she uses phallic symbols sort of in that sort of like repressed rage to fend him off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild. I never really thought about that. But I want John Carpenter to tell me like what all he saw was his sister and her boyfriend kissing on the sofa.
Yeah.
Like they were not doing anything immoral.
But he saw them go up to the room and the light turn off. So he knew what was happening.
As a 6-year-old?
In theory.
Okay. John, that's just a big plot hole for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Rob Zombie remade these films and he gives a reason behind the killing, and it is incredibly less interesting. Once you sort of like open that door and sort of give a reason behind it, it becomes like, oh, am I supposed to feel sympathy for this character? Are they really that scary anymore? Is this a monster or somebody who's been through something else? It just becomes kind of in the end. And honestly, those movies are just super, super boring.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe he just is inept of any feelings whatsoever,
Well,
like
that's
emotionally
Loomis's-
and physically.
That would be Loomis's take, right? Is that that he's evil, and the reason why he calls him evil is because he doesn't he doesn't process things the way a normal human does. Doesn't have the feelings and doesn't communicate and isn't capable of understanding like right from wrong. So that would be Loomis's take, and I would again point to people. Oftentimes, there are plenty of people who have just mental illness. They have like chemical imbalances, or they just are wired differently. My very scientific term, wired differently. So there are people like that, but also oftentimes that stuff is exacerbated. Sorry, I'm tired. Exacerbated by other trauma in their lives. So whatever that trauma may or may not be.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the question. Is like I get the desire to like kind of go what makes this guy tick, but also kind of not knowing. It's sort of like Jaws, like not seeing the shark is actually more exciting than seeing the shark.
It's very heavy.
It's a lot.
So wait, where was this filmed? Because
Pasadena, baby.
Pasadena. Yeah. Because you know what would never happen in Illinois?
Palm trees?
Lockers being outside.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because winters suck.
Yeah.
And that would be impossible to get to them.
All the walkways for like even the child's school was all outdoors. I will say, people will say, well, that means it has to have been in a warm locale. I went to junior high in a school where we did have lockers outside in Washington State, and it did get cold and it did snow there. And we had they were like covered. They had, but they were still exposed to the wind and stuff. And all of the walkways were outside. Again, covered, but completely outside, like you see in this film.
That's wild.
Yeah, it happens.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It is a telltale sign that this is not Illinois. Right.
Because it's like there was the phone call right outside of a sign that said Haddonfield. And I'm like, look at all them mountains in the background. That is just not what the Midwest is. Hilly, but not mountains, and I definitely saw some palm trees.
Yeah, well, there's also there were a few other challenges with
not just where they shot this, but when they shot this. They shot this in the springtime. They had a total of 3 pumpkins, one of which was required to be destroyed. So they had to do that in one take.
Oh my gosh.
And then another pumpkin they got was green, so they painted it orange. And we don't have fall so in California, so they had to bring in fake leaves and have, you know, people dropping fake leaves all over the ground, then cleaning them up, you know, at the end of the day. One of those people, a young Robert Englund, who went on to play Freddy Krueger, was one of the people that was given a bag of leaves and said, have at it, son.
Wow.
So a lot of the people on this, the average age of crew member and cast member total was 26 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they were all youngins. Yeah. Except for Donald Pleasance, who they wanted like an elder statesman type. They wanted somebody British. So
yes.
Yeah.
It feels like, didn't they use someone British in The Exorcist? Wasn't the priest British? I feel like using someone British,
my brain is not
as
working right now. That has to be about,
powerful.
I can't think about other movies right now, Alexis. I just on too little sleep to process it. I can only focus on Halloween and Halloween 2.
Okay, that's
sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Don't yell at me.
Max von Sydow.
Is he? I guess he's British, huh?
He's Swedish.
I was gonna say he seems British.
He's Swedish.
Right,
but he probably learned English from someone
England
like
adjacent.
Yeah, they're nearby.
They're close. Not to offend any of our British or Swedish fans.
Sorry.
We do have people that listen in both those places.
Okay, so Jamie, I'm sorry, not Jamie, but Lori gets home from school and her bedroom window is wide open. And I was like, is this movie why we don't leave windows open anymore?
Windows, doors. Yeah.
Lock your windows, lock your doors.
Yeah.
Hide your kids.
Hide your wife.
It really just reminds me how different the world used to be and how trusting the world used to be.
Yeah.
Ugh. Creepy and incredible that Judith Meyer's gravestone went missing.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, how strong is Michael Myers?
Yeah, I mean,
he is superhuman.
Yeah, and
those things are like,
that's where the movie
1,000 pounds.
The movies eventually ultimately go there. I mean, he gets shot like how many times in these movies, right?
Yeah.
This was these two films. One of the reasons why I like these two together is that they sort of are almost one story, you know, because they just second one picks up exactly where the first one leaves off, and it's sort of about Laurie. And this was also intended to be it for Michael Myers. Like John Carpenter didn't want more Michael Myers movies to continue, so there's sort of a sense of finality about this.
The first one or
both? Well, so the second one. So the first one he gets up at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And there's this sense of, I knew that was going to happen from Sam Loomis, but what they really wanted to do was do like an anthology series, which is something that I've always wanted to do. I think it's really fascinating about like urban legends and ghost stories and things.
Yeah.
And I think the little kid with the razor blade and the apple in the second movie at the very beginning is okay, we'll cover that again in a minute, but that's sort of a reference to what they wanted to do. They wanted to spin off and tell a different story every Halloween. So it was going to be a different bad guy every Halloween. It was what they wanted to do originally. So this was sort of supposed to be a sense of finality, and then 3 is Season of the Witch, and it's haunted masks and weirdness, and that's supposed to be very different. And then they just, people love Michael Myers, so they just made him supernatural. And people like
and
Jason
Voorhees. The fourth one came out.
Yeah,
terrified me.
Yeah,
terrified.
Yeah.
Like,
and the girl from that did a bunch of them, including, I believe she's in both of the reboots. So I think she's in the Rob Zombie one, and I think she's also in the newer ones, but maybe not until the second of the newer ones.
She might be. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's interesting. Do you have anything?
I do.
What's your next thing for the first movie?
So
Yes.
the first friend has been killed.
Yeah.
Like, she goes out to the car. She can't get in because the car is locked. She goes back in to get keys.
Yeah.
And then she goes back out. She just opens the door. And I'm like, lady, don't you realize what just happened? And then she realizes it while she's in the car. And he strangles her with one hand.
Yeah. He's got big hands.
Huh?
He's got big hands.
Okay. That's fair.
I mean, do you really need both hands to crush a windpipe? I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never done it.
Nor have I.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Let me ask you a question about how you feel about the Michael Myers. Like how do you feel about the mask?
I know what it is.
Yeah. Well, so they originally tried to get a company to make the mask, and they were like, we don't really have money for it, but we'll cut you in on the profits. They're like, nah. And then of course they ended up. So they tried two different masks out. They tried a clown mask.
Yeah.
With
been
had
terrible.
like red hair, and it didn't work. And then they went with the James
Captain
T.
Kirk.
It was a mask from like 3 years prior. So it was like 1975, roughly. And I guess it would have been 2 years prior because they probably filmed it in 77. They pulled the sideburns out of it and stuff like that. They kind of made it look like its own thing.
Right. Painted it white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And William Shatner for a long time was very unhappy about it.
Why?
He didn't like being associated with like a killer.
Oh. See, the thing is, I didn't know that it was
Most people didn't.
the Kirk mask until like 5 years ago.
He didn't know for a long time.
Well,
so
then he can
once
shut
he found
up.
out. Yeah. Well, I think there was there was a lot of like, satanic panic kind of stuff going on in the 80s and whatnot. So, anything occult like people didn't really, and especially they did a witch movie after this, and then so people didn't necessarily want to be associated with it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I will say that Michael Myers, I never think of Captain Kirk at all.
No, me neither. But
oh no, did I jump?
did you know that Jamie Lee Curtis was the only teenager of all the girls? She was
No.
19 when they shot this. So
Wow.
yeah.
Everyone else was older. Oh, because they had to show their boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like even?
Yeah, it was a
I
thing.
think, okay.
Yeah. Well, and so we were
Well,
6 boobs.
I ask because in the old Romeo and Juliet, that girl was topless and she was like 16.
Brooke Shields was naked
Oh,
in
yeah.
Blue Lagoon, right? Yeah. So I mean, I think there's evolving rules probably about things, but yeah. But speaking of the boobs, so we had Annie, Linda, and his sister. What's her face?
Lindsay.
Her name was Lindsay?
There was Lindsay.
Lindsay? Was that his sister's name? No, Judith. His sister's name was Judith. Is it Lindsay? I thought it was Linda. Boy, I feel like I've seen this movie a million times.
You're
and
right.
I might be wrong.
Oh, Lindsay was the little girl.
The little girl. She did not.
No.
And they did reference Bob was like, we'll rip Lindsay's clothes off. And I was like, don't rip Lindsay's clothes off, Bob. You go home.
Yeah.
You go home, Bob.
Oh, Bob.
So the woman that played Judith Myers was a Playboy model eventually. I don't know if she was at the time. She did 3 or 4 movies, and all of the movies she sort of played similar, like she's there to take her top off kind of roles.
Aha.
And the reason that she did those films, and this is the only movie she did, and like she did not aspire to be an actress. Her father was sick with cancer, and she needed money for his medical care, and so she was like, "I'll take my top off."
Wow.
So, yeah, so good for her. They used the fake blood they used on her at the beginning of the film, stained her skin, and so after they would do a take, they would have to scrub it off of her, and she found the makeup people to be like really like harsh with her.
Yeah.
And she complained about it. And Jamie Lee Curtis kindly said, let me do it. And she was very gentle with her and took care of her.
Oh.
Yeah, really sweet, right?
That's lovely.
Yeah. Oh,
Makes
man.
me love Jamie Lee Curtis even more.
Oh.
If that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you a story in a little bit, and you're gonna be like,
Oh.
It's an emotional, good story.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So when Bob gets stabbed,
Mm-hmm.
that one I wrote is not even remotely possible.
Yeah.
Because he gets stabbed through his body into a cupboard where the doors are like hella flimsy.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't make sense.
No.
But okay. And then Annie is strangled while on the phone with Lori, which, like, I get how she had messed with her earlier in the day. So she's like, are you just being a little pain in the ass again? Or did I really just hear you die on the phone?
Yeah.
But
It does sound like sex noises.
it does.
Yeah.
And then she goes outside. I was like, don't go outside. Never go outside, JLC.
Outside JLC.
And like, who walks around a house in the dark?
Yeah.
Not me.
You mentioned Bob getting killed with a knife.
Uh-huh.
Just gonna throw this out there for those like movie memorabilia aficionados. There is a specific model of butcher knife that's sort of famous and that they use for the Michael Myers thing, and it's a Cutco knife.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a W.R. Case and Sons Cutco 102-12 knife. So for those that want to like frame something on their wall, that's weird.
How long is that knife? I'm just thinking for that to go through someone's body, it needs to
13
be...
inches probably.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be my guess, is about 13 inches.
Wow.
Also, you mentioned Bob killing Linda. No, I forgot.
Bob? Bob didn't kill anybody.
Oh, sorry, not Bob didn't kill anybody. No, my question was going to be, was Linda's, Linda?
Yeah.
Was Linda's last thoughts, Bob is killing me?
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I should, so I met PJ Souls, and super sweet. She is famously the opposite of her character in these movies. She always plays these like bubbly, sort of like boisterous characters.
Yeah.
And she is more like Lori, and Jamie Lee Curtis is more like Linda.
Oh, wow.
They're sort of opposite personalities. And actually, when Jamie Lee Curtis got the role and they told her which role she got, she was really surprised because that's not at all like her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that would have been a good question to ask PJ, would be, hey,
Yeah.
does Linda think that Bob is killing her? Is that her last thought?
Yeah.
That's sad. But as far as she knows, she never sees who kills her. The only thing she sees is who she thinks is Bob in a sheet with glasses on. And you're thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Which also, Bob, in Grease. Check out the Grease episode of View the Right Thing. He's a dancer, like at the end of the movie. Yeah.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
What else? He keeps getting in through all the windows. Like, just lock your windows.
Windows and doors.
Windows and doors.
Lock them all.
Then I write, yes, Lori, lock yourself inside the flimsy closet. Surely he won't look there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She tried to tie it off.
She tried, but man, if I'm hiding in the closet, I am going to be as silent as possible.
Yeah.
And I know it's a movie. It's a movie. And you're supposed to be like, oh. But like, if someone is trying to murder you, you stay fucking quiet.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it would be like in that situation. Like,
True.
you probably notice you're breathing really, you're probably trying to hold your breath and stuff. She does try a misdirect, right? Like she goes to the balcony, opens the doors to the balcony, and then goes to hides in the closet. So at least she tried to lead him one direction and then hide somewhere else.
Sure.
I'm gonna give her a little credit.
Okay.
She's also 16.
Yes. That is true.
So dumb 16-year-olds.
I wrote, Michael sure can withstand a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I wonder if he cannot feel pain at all.
It's possible.
because that is a condition where some people just cannot feel pain.
Yeah, he just may be disassociated from everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally possible. I mean, that may be the explanation of him being able to take.
This is the only thing that makes sense.
The only thing that makes sense.
It's the only thing. Like, she stabs him in the neck with the knitting needle, and then he gets up, and then he gets shot 6 times, and that doesn't happen. He falls 2 stories down.
Yeah.
Not dead.
Yeah.
It's wild. And poor Lori.
Poor Lori.
Poor Lori.
Well, speaking of Lori, so Jamie Lee Curtis. This is, as you mentioned, her first feature film. You want to guess how much she was paid for this film?
Well, hearing about how low the budget was, I'm going to guess like $5,000.
That's good that you're a little under. So she got $8,000 for
Oh,
this.
wow.
So for in the 70s, it's pretty good, especially for a teenager and for her first movie. She went on to play Laurie Strode in 6 decades. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and the 2020s.
They did one in the 2020s?
Yeah, the last one was like during the pandemic.
Oh, that's right. I didn't see that. Obviously.
The last one's terrible.
I won't watch it.
The last one's an insult to Halloween fans, I think. Yeah.
I mean, this was a lot to watch these.
Yeah. She was also convinced that she was going to get fired. She went first day and she was like, I'm terrible at this. And then John Carpenter called her and she's like, this is it. This is my phone call. And he ended up praising her for like how well she did and how, comfortable she seemed and stuff. So
I am shocked that this was her first film.
Yeah.
It just came so naturally to her.
Yeah. Did you notice anything in her bedroom?
There was something on the wall, but I didn't really pay attention to.
So
I was going to write down what the poster was, but then I forgot because too many notes.
It's a poster of a painting by James Ensor. It says Ensor on it.
Yeah.
And he was a Belgian expressionist painter. And what he's famous for is his use of sort of human figures that wear sort of grotesque masks. Fans of this will know that Michael Myers is referred to a lot of the times not as Michael Myers, but the Shape.
Yeah.
And the Shape, one of my favorite shots I pointed out, is when he just sort of appears.
Yeah.
They didn't have very much money, so they used a little dimmer switch. And the idea being that your eyes are getting used to the dark, and so you're starting to see what's there a little bit more. But there's this thing with the Shape, that ties into the Salem witch trials.
Oh, wow.
They used to refer to as like the specters or the spirits that were accused of doing mischief or harming people. They referred to as the Shape.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is like kind of got a little bit of that connection to it.
Intriguing.
Yeah. There are some extra scenes if you were to have watched a TV version of this back in the day.
Oh.
They added some scenes inside the mental institution, inside Michael's cell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
they completely, like, all we see of the institution is the outside road.
Yeah. Yeah, they needed extra time. So, and let's see here. See if I have any other notes of like super important things before I tell you the thing that's going to be like, I don't know. It warms my heart a little bit, but the music. I mean, that's a pretty iconic music done by John Carpenter. When he had done a cut of the film and showed it to one of the producers prior to the music being put in, and they were like, this is boring, it's not scary at all.
Oh my gosh.
And they put the music in and it completely changed how they felt about the movie.
That music will just like, it sends a shiver up my spine.
Yeah, no,
I can't.
Speaking music, one of my other favorite things, maybe my favorite thing in the movie, outside of the dimmer thing, is when Annie and Laurie are driving in the car, and they're listening to the radio and smoking a joint, and Don't Fear the Reaper comes on while Michael is driving behind them.
Oh, I didn't even put those two together.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite like little things. And again, other movies use that song in a similar way, like Scream does it. And so
Also, how did her cop dad not smell pot when they opened the
he
window?
He did, and Lori's right. He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. The poster for this movie is like pretty famous. It's got like a knife plunging into, like somebody holding a knife plunging it into a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
And there's what they call subliminal messages. I don't know how really subliminal they are, but there's a woman screaming, reflecting on the blade of the knife, but she's like kind of blurry, so it's hard to see. There is also another screaming face in the shape of the hand that's holding the knife. And then the shape that the veins make on the hand they eventually use in later films as part of like the cult that is, responsible for, I don't know, resurrecting him or whatever. But later on in the sequels they feature that. But
wow.
So in 2018 at San Diego Comic-Con, Jamie Lee Curtis was doing a Q&A, and a fan told her that he was the victim of a similar home invasion. And he said he was scared out of his mind and just out of nowhere. And he was telling her this.
Oh my God.
That this thought came inside of his head. What would Jamie Lee Curtis do? I know this is like emotional and sweet. And he said, I'm a victor today instead of a victim, just like the people that you were talking about. So anyways, and so Jamie Lee Curtis got up and went down and hugged him.
Yeah.
So really sweet.
Oh my God.
So who would have thought that this movie about Crazy Killer would also inspire people to survive?
Yeah. Fight back.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would have gotten up and given him a hug too. God.
So I'm going to ask you a question, because I think sometimes when we talk about these things, like your feelings change a little bit. So you seemed like you appreciated this film. You didn't like being scared, but you appreciated the film. After like sort of talking about it, especially a movie like this is why I want to ask the question. Do you feel a little stronger connection to it now, knowing some of these things? Or is it still sort of just kind of the same for you? She's thinking.
I don't know. That's tough. Because it's wonderful that it has inspired people to fight back. It's horrible that these sorts of things happen ever.
Yeah. But I'm also asking, like, not just that, that's sweet and great and emotional, but also knowing the background of things and sort of what they went through to make it, and sort of the care that they took to put hidden things like on posters, and the connection to Psycho. Does that like connect you a little bit more to the film and make you like it more, or do you sort of just sort of feel the same?
I appreciate the creativity.
Yeah.
I really don't like being scared. I just don't. And I don't know if it's because I watched Halloween 4 when I was really, 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 really little, like way too young to have ever watched it.
Yeah.
And so I know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, no, don't go into it. Why are you not turning the lights on in the rooms? You need to turn the light on in the room, and like, don't just half open a door. You need to look behind the door.
Well, and most horror directors play off that expectation, right? Okay, well, let me ask this question then. Okay. Do you understand why this is one of those movies you should watch before you die?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you feel like you recommend this? I mean, obviously not for just anyone, but
not for just anyone.
Generally,
as a lover of films and filmmaking, it's very clever.
Are you glad you watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer then. Yeah.
I am very surprised that I said that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
You surprised me, especially with these. This month, you've surprised me quite a bit. The Conjuring was a big surprise for me. And the desire to watch the other Conjuring movies really surprised me.
yeah, it's easier to watch. For some reason, it's easier to watch movies about evil spirits or just spirits and energy than it is to watch something about murderers.
Interesting. I would think it'd be the other way. Tell me.
Well, murderers can get ideas from watching these.
Yeah.
Like, really, things can be. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Get an idea. Like,
I don't know if I blame the media for video games.
I don't. I know. Like, I'm not saying that those can inspire, but maybe what I'm really saying is those kinds of things can happen. And then it puts that in my mind, like, well, I hadn't thought about that before. Oh, shit, now I have to really watch my back.
It's interesting because I know that you have a strong belief in the paranormal, like spirits and things. So the idea that those things are less scary to watch narratives of than the thing that is, I mean, obviously not that you don't believe in murderers, but it seems like you're less likely to connect with. Like, it seems like you personally would be less likely to connect with a serial killer than you would be. And when I say connect with, I mean like have an instance of.
Have an interaction with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me that you find one more tolerable than the other.
Well, I don't know. Who knows if I haven't encountered a serial killer? There are certain people, like, I can just feel the energy off of people and it creeps me out. I don't know.
You haven't had to hide in a closet from a serial killer, I guess is my point. And the odds of that happening are probably pretty slim. But you have said you've encountered multiple instances of paranormal things, right?
This is true.
So it's interesting. I mean, it's fine. I believe everything you're saying and take it for face value. It's just interesting. Yeah. I wonder the psychology behind that, but
we'll have to talk about that later.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's talk about Halloween 2.
Okay.
Do you want to take a minute to pull that up?
I got it right here.
Oh, fantastic.
So, while Dr. Loomis hunts for Michael Myers, a traumatized Laurie is rushed to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, and the Shape is not far behind her.
Yeah.
The Shape.
There were a few little storytelling things that I actually kind of like in this. I mean, there's some, in a lot of these lower budget horror films, especially this era, there's a lot of coincidence that happens. And I like that they made an effort to explain how he knew that she was at the hospital and what hospital she was at and what, where it is.
Right.
And so I'm pointing to the kid with the boombox walking through the town, listening to the radio, and the radio says that the survivor has been taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. And as he's passing by, he runs into Michael Myers and then steps around him. And then Michael Myers looks up and there's a sign that says Haddonfield Memorial this way. So it's like, they made an effort, even though there's something coincidental about him being in the right place at the right time. At least they explained how he knew he didn't just show up at the hospital.
And when they're talking about murders, like at the beginning, aren't they talking about all of the murders that happened that night?
They're talking about the teenagers that have been found, Annie, Bob, and Linda.
Yeah. But the thing is, they end up talking about it again as if it's new news.
Later at the end of the film? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Because at the end of the film, the body count has grown, right?
Right.
It's 10 at the end of the film, although one of those is our sad, sweet boy that Laurie has a crush on. But
I know.
Poor Ben Tramer. Justice for Ben Tramer. Remember in the first movie I said remember Ben Tramer. I don't think I said remember it, but I made a point of saying Ben Tramer to you to just like solidify that name in your brain.
Oh.
So when he dies in the second one and his friends come looking for him, I wanted you to remember that was the boy that she had the crush on.
The one that was drunk?
The one that was drunk that got hit by the car.
Oh, and exploded.
Our friend Ben, he was drunk and he had a weird mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ben Tramer.
Oh.
Hashtag justice for Ben Tramer.
Sad. Okay, I can't find the note right now, but that's okay.
Okay. The when they did the new reboots that take place, modern day.
Right.
And they basically said we're ignoring everything from after one.
Yeah.
One is the only one that's canon, which I don't like. I mean, it makes sense because you like that they ignore 2.
Yeah.
I just like 2 in companionship with 1. I just like having, I feel like I get more of a complete story for Laurie than I do without it.
Fair.
And I will say that I love Laurie in the new ones. She's like a badass. She's very Sarah Connor like.
Yeah.
Where she's like gone down this like dark rabbit hole and she's like a prepper. But I don't think that there's enough of a reason for that to have happened. If you excise part 2, if it's just part 1, yes, this traumatic thing happened to her, but she goes to such an extreme over those years and destroys her family essentially over those years that it doesn't make sense to me without part 2. So that's my take on that. It's a fun movie to watch and I like it, but it's just. Yeah, but when they did that and they said we're gonna remove part 2 from canon, I was like, she better be fucking married to Ben Tramer. Then Ben Tramer better be back, and then he wasn't there. Oh. They don't even mention him, I don't think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they mention him.
Something weird about how they picked up from where first Halloween left off.
Yeah.
They changed how Dr. Loomis saw Michael Myers' missing body.
It's where it was.
Yeah.
It was in the backyard in the first movie, and it's the front yard in the second movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the first movie, he looks over the balcony and sees the body.
Yeah.
And then, sees it missing.
Yeah.
And in this one, he walks out the front door and, it's missing. Like that.
He also fires a different number of bullets.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. And it just, like, why change that?
Look, part 2 is not as well made a film. It's a different director. It's it's grasping to be a sequel. I recognize all of that. Again, I just enjoy it as a more complete story for Laurie.
And gosh, the news got the information about the murder awfully fast.
Yeah. Well,
they still couldn't get a hold of Laurie's parents.
Yeah.
And they were like, maybe the news and the way the law went in the 70s is different, but like now you need to notify the families before that information can be let out.
The presumption is the parents weren't home.
Right.
In 1977, how do you get a hold of somebody?
I don't know. Exactly.
So of course they didn't get a hold of her parents. They were gone all night.
Right.
So, I mean, I get that they didn't get a hold of the parents, but, people didn't want to be scooped in the news. And, I think the news being there isn't bothersome to me because they're listening to police scanners and reporting to a crime scene. So, speaking of the news, I made sure you got a good look at the news assistant.
Yes.
You want to say who it was?
It was little baby, oh my gosh.
Dana
Carvey.
Yeah.
Little baby Dana Carvey. I saw his little jaw.
Yeah, little baby Dana Carvey. Who later on it stars on a show and a bunch of movies with an actor named
Mike Myers.
Who, by the way, hates the killer Michael Myers because
good.
I don't blame him. That would be hard. Look,
should.
I grew up in an era of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then the amount of people that called me Wesley Crusher drove me nuts. So I get it. Hey, my last name's not Crusher. This guy's name is Mike Myers. So I feel for him.
Hey, people used to ask if I was named after Alexis Carrington, and I was like, why would I be named after a bitch?
I don't even know who Alexis Carrington is.
It's from
soap opera. Oh, or Dynasty. One of those shows.
One of the D's.
Yeah, the Ewings were Dallas. That's the only reason I knew.
No. I was named after Lexi from the movie Ice Castles.
I've not seen Ice Castles.
It's delightful.
I'm going to put it in the bucket. We can
the new remake.
Oh.
The remake's not as great.
Yeah. They almost never are. Very rare that the remakes are great.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what else you got for...
Okay, so... more people not locking their doors.
Yeah.
And then I said, nothing like a drunk doctor performing on a patient, because she shows up and they need to put her under, and she's like, please don't put me under. And they talk about he was drinking at the country club.
Yeah, I think he was drinking. Yeah. Yep. This is for what it's worth, also the only film to make it of the Halloween franchise to make it to November 1st. Just throwing that out there.
Say that again?
It's the only film in the Halloween franchise to make it to November 1st. They all end on Halloween night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Then they hit Laurie's soon to be date, and there's the crazy combustion.
Yeah.
And I say, what kind of crazy combustion is this? Also, this doesn't make sense. They've already shared on the news about the murders, and now they're finding out about the people across the street.
What now?
So after they hit
Ben. Yeah.
That is when they suddenly are like, oh, there were murders across the street. They just found 3 bodies.
No, they're just now getting a hold of the dad. The police already have been there because we've already seen another scene where somebody's talking about, hey, did you hear about the murders? It's on the radio.
Yes.
The dad hasn't learned that his daughter is dead yet.
Oh.
So they're just now finally getting a hold of the dad.
Okay. Thank you. I was like, I don't understand why we're just saying the same thing again. Like, we just talked about this.
No, and that's why he comes in and he's like, there's a murder, and he's like, where? And he's like across the street from the blah, blah, blah house, and he's like, it's Annie. Annie's one of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they get in the car right away and drive over.
He was a police officer. Like, don't you think they would have known right away?
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. So I think the obvious question is, would they not have radioed him, right?
Yeah.
So one, they might not have radioed him about the initial finding of the bodies, right? Like, hey, there's this. Do you tell the father of a victim, who also happens to work for the police, over a radio, right?
Yeah.
So you probably want to do it in person and be with them. You don't know how they're going to react. So I think that was probably the argument. I would probably say you could reason out, I like to do the reasoning game for some of these movies.
Yeah.
You could probably reason that maybe him and Loomis were operating on a different frequency than what they would normally use because they're trying to be a little more sneaky to catch Michael.
Yeah.
They've never established that, so I don't think that's it. I think it's more likely that they didn't want to radio it, put it out over the radio.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just felt like we'd gone in circles.
No, yeah, I get it.
What else? I wish I knew what this was about, but I said, this is the reason why I look in every closet and back seat.
Oh, yeah. It probably was it the nurse that gets in the car? No, it's got to be somebody in the back seat, right?
Yeah, must be.
Yeah.
Just like, always look in the back seat. Oh, friends, always look in the back seat.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Annie dies. She didn't look in the back seat, and she's like, it's foggy in here.
Yeah.
I got into my car one day, and it was like that in my car, and I immediately looked around and was like, why is it like that in here?
Oh, God.
There was no good reason.
Did they release that it was Michael Myers who was...
Yes, escaped.
How did I just like, my ears didn't hear that? And I was like, why does Julie, the nurse...
Mm-hmm.
Why does Julie know that it was Michael Myers?
Yeah, and Jimmy knew too. Jimmy told Lori. And she's like, Michael Myers, why me? That's sort of the lead into like her dream and...
Yeah.
I say dream, but her memory of being told she's adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I really like. Again, when you negate the second film, you negate the connection to Lori. So then it's like, what is Michael's obsession? And it's fine if you just want to say, I think it's scary for somebody to have an obsession for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
Yes, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I do also kind of like this idea that he's sort of trying to clear his family out.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
yeah,
their parents were murdered.
Her parents?
The real parents.
They were?
Birth parents.
Were they?
Yeah.
When were they murdered?
I don't know. It was while Michael was in...
Oh. They said that?
And then after their parents
Man,
were
I
murdered,
was falling asleep.
were killed. After their parents were killed.
Yeah, well, so we don't know that they were murdered.
Okay.
They can die in a car crash or who knows. Murder, suicide?
Oh, God.
over your child being crazy and murdering your other child.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the lack of hysteria
Yeah.
when I'm like jumping back to the first movie when he just walks out with a bloody knife
Yeah.
and his parents are just standing there.
Like, what is
Like,
this?
What did you do?
Yeah. What now, sir? Whose cat?
Oh,
I mean, probably.
yeah. This is a horribly unsecure hospital.
Security's actually pretty good. I mean, there's only
There's
one
one
security
security
guard at night, but it's at night in 1977, in a quiet town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a skeleton crew, like late shift. I worked I volunteered and subsequently did work as a unit coordinator in an emergency room in a a larger town than Haddonfield.
Yeah.
And at night it was dead. There was very few people. There's one security guard by the front door, and there were probably some more in the hospital somewhere. But this was like multiple stories, this hospital, and the one in Haddonfield is, I think, presumably like flat,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not skeptical of that.
Okay.
There are people that they criticize the fact of how dead it is, like, oh, hospitals are busier than that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. When I've had to go to the hospital, it's almost always been at night, and it's always dead in a hospital. Almost always, unless you're in like a really big city.
Yeah.
It's just fucking dead.
Yeah.
It is quiet.
Was it Janet who was drowned?
Karen? Are we talking about Karen?
Oh, it was Karen that was drowned?
Yeah, the one who was dating Bud.
Yes.
I think that's Karen.
Yep, you're right.
And she's got a weird name, right? Something Shoop.
Her real name is Pamela Susan Shoop.
Yeah, I feel bad for her. I'll tell you why in a minute. But go ahead and tell me your note.
Oh, I did not like the drowning, burning.
Skin coming off.
Blah.
Yeah. It's rough.
I just wrote gross.
Yeah. So this is one of those sad Hollywood stories of how she was sort of mistreated on the set. She didn't really want to do nudity, and she was told that she was going to have a closed set, and she counted 19 people. They shot it they shot it for 3 days. She counted 19 people. Almost all of them were men. And the director tried to convince her to do it completely nude, full frontal. And she was really uncomfortable, but almost gave in. And right before she gave in, Deborah Hill stepped in and was like, "You do not have to do that."
Good.
Deborah Hill, good for her, but she probably should have stepped in sooner. I get that it's like a guy's world, especially in that era, so it's probably really difficult. I don't necessarily fault Deborah Hill for that.
Yeah.
The men should have done better, but
wow.
And she ended up getting like an ear infection because the water wasn't like clean. Like it was just not a good situation for her. I think it really tainted her to the film industry. So I feel really bad for her.
I was worried it was going to be like some sad story like Ducky from Land Before Time.
Oh.
Or,
That's right. Ducky from Land Before Time, the little... Oh, you mean who played the act?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like... I was like,
No.
the character Ducky?
No. The little girl who did the voice of Ducky, who also did the voice of the little girl in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah. What happened to her?
Horrible.
Or should we save that for an All Dogs Go to Heaven episode?
Let's save that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to add All Dogs Go to Heaven. I will cry.
Okay.
I will cry a
Then
lot.
that means I probably will.
Yes.
Great.
Anyway.
I've seen it just when I was a kid. I don't remember. I don't remember it at all.
Oh my.
Burt Reynolds is in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
He's the dog.
The dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dog. That's the previously said heaven dog.
Previous heaven dog. Okay. Lori's not moving.
Yeah.
No reaction to
The light stimulus.
And then suddenly she can get up and walk around.
So I think there's a little bit of time that passes, and I think the idea is like they go off to try and get the doctor to help, because they don't know what's going on, and whatever it is, she's snapped out of. Like she's you have a seizure or whatever. Seizures end a lot of the time, so you don't always get hurt.
Okay.
So I think that's just the presumption is that.
Okay.
She wasn't faking it.
Yeah. The one murder that seemed unlike what Michael Myers would do was bleeding out the head nurse.
Where it took a long time. Yeah, it was like torture.
Yeah.
Like, tied
and
her
that
down
just didn't seem like he just seems like you're dying now.
Yeah. That
like
was
I'm not going to put a lot of
that's
effort
like
into it.
Something a serial killer does for joy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So that pulled me out. I was like, that is sick. This one just seems to be, let's kill as many people as possible.
100%. They wanted, so the first movie, they really spared the blood. The only time you see blood is sort of in the aftermath of things. So you see it like on Annie.
Yeah.
But when he cuts Annie's throat in the first movie, there is no blood on her.
Yeah.
You don't see it till later. So, and then when you see Annie's body in this one, you see, more, it was like, it's like more graphic somehow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even, Lori in the first movie, she just had a cut down her arm. And in this one, there's like blood all over her shirt.
It's like a gash. Yeah.
I think it's because they had more of a,
they had more money.
More money.
Well, and they intentionally wanted it to be bloodier.
Huh.
They were like, yeah, we want this to be a bigger body count and more blood. So
well, they did it.
Yeah, a lot of melting people in this one. Also, the girl that played Annie, something Loomis. Gosh, I can't remember her name. She was the voice of the friend on the phone when the two girls were talking.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Turn on the radio." That's the girl that played Annie.
Oh,
yeah,
Annie from the first movie.
Annie from the first. She's playing a different character.
Okay.
Yeah, they just included her.
Okay.
In,
cool.
Have her around. You got just corpse just laying over here, so might as well use her.
Okay, the last nurse to be stabbed from behind with a scalpel.
Yeah.
He really must be superhuman if he can...
Nurse Jill, by the way.
Nurse Jill, if he can get someone with stab someone with a scalpel and lift her up with one hand.
I think that's the least believable of all the deaths.
Yeah.
It just it's kind of like the Bob death,
yes,
right?
That one and Bob. I'm just like, huh?
But the Bob one's cool. Like it's like a kind of a cool visual and it's scary and like it just makes you go, oh, he's really strong or something, right? So I kind of
is really strong. What kind of exercises is he doing in this institution?
I mean, what else do you do when you have nothing else to do?
They should have restrained him. You can't build muscle when you're restrained. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not big on the idea of the restraints, but
that man.
If he wasn't hurting anyone,
he can't hurt anyone.
They said he didn't even move. He didn't talk. He didn't move. Nothing.
He was plotting the whole time.
Some people question how he was able to drive a car. Remember, he'd
never driven before.
And the Loomis says, "Where you teach him to drive too?" And I believe it's explained either in a comic book or a book that Loomis had to take him to various court hearings over the years, and he just paid attention to how Loomis was driving the car. So Loomis inadvertently taught him how to drive.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wanted to drive so badly.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, I was like, I can't wait till I can drive.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. And it's hard.
Yeah, but some people pick things up like that. Some people do pick up driving from watching and just being able to do and feeling it out the first. When he first gets behind the wheel, it's not smooth.
True.
Remember? But his brain doesn't work the way a normal person's brain works, right?
That is true.
And there are people who pick up things. Mm-hmm. They pick up mechanics and they just understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
you and I are not those people.
I mean, I can pick up things pretty quickly, but there's like a special
learning curve.
Yeah,
I agree.
Anyway, I write, he's brilliant at everything, except grabbing onto Laurie's feet when she climbs out a window
and swiping at her with the scalpel.
I can't get you.
You gotta let her go.
That didn't. Sure, gotta let her go, but like, he can break through a fucking door, a hard, thick.
I like when he walks through the glass door.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make sense. He crunches on the glass with an unbloodied scalpel.
I didn't say this movie was good.
I know.
Just throwing that out there for the audience. I didn't.
This one, I had a lot of issues with.
That's okay.
Give me the first one.
Yeah.
Over this.
It makes you really appreciate the first one.
It does.
But you get why I like this, right? Like why I like pairing it together with the first movie.
Because it picks up where the other one left off, and it tells you the story that she is his
sister and this obsession.
Yeah.
That's the obsession.
Yeah. And I guess I just wonder, how does he know that she's his sister? Because she has a completely different name.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Why not?
I can look it up while you're doing that, while you're taking your notes.
Also, was this before elevators had the safety open?
So no. Elevators had the bumper going back to like the 40s, I believe. But we don't see a bumper, right? There have been over the years various other forms of safety for that. Mm-hmm. It's too early for infrared in the elevators.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of elevators use now. I will tell you that I live in an apartment building with elevators with bumpers, mm-hmm. and I have had those things continue to close on me.
Oh.
So, wow. If I hadn't had that, I would be like, oh, this is my criticism for the elevator. What a stupid, there's no way that would work.
Yeah.
But since I've been squished in the door of my elevator and freaked out, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
What was I going to look up? How did Michael know Lori was his sister? I'm sure there's something we're going to be like, what? Okay, so it's coming up. It's coming up.
Mm. How could he know such a thing?
And then nobody answered it. I don't know.
Just magic.
Somebody said technically Lori wasn't as drunk as John Carpenter. He came up with that reveal. Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know. Her and she has a completely different first name. Her I think when she was a Myers, she was Cynthia Myers, and then when I think they changed her name to protect her, and when she was adopted, by the Strodes, she became Laurie Strode, I believe.
That's just wild.
Yeah. I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We don't purport to be experts. There's some help in the background. We're going to get some stuff wrong. We're doing our best.
Yeah. We're not perfect.
Any other cool notes?
Now Michael Myers can just walk through glass?
Yeah, like that.
Is he just a demon?
Yeah, I mean, that's Loomis's take, right? Is that he's like the spirit of Samhain or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Loomis is the only one who realizes the danger.
Yeah.
And I just said, Michael Myers must be superhuman. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ether. Wouldn't that affect all of them in the room? Because I thought, I don't really...
They'd like pass out or whatever?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
And there was like, explosion. Okay.
Oxygen, ether and oxygen. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
And he must just not be able to feel any pain.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
That was my last note.
He has no nerve endings.
No nerve ending. Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah. So this one,
mm-hmm.
Would you recommend this movie?
No.
Yeah, no. All right.
I appreciate that they connect.
Are you glad you watched it this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had just watched Halloween 2.
Yeah, you'd been like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's also, a product of its time. It came out at the same time as another sequel with another unkillable killer, Friday the 13th Part 2. Came out the same year. So, this was an era where they were, and, Nightmare on Elm Street was not far behind this.
Yeah.
So this is an era where that was like a fascination for horror films and the real, this isn't the birth of the slasher, but it's certainly at the beginning of the popularity of the slasher.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I can now say that I watched it.
Yeah. All right. Halloween H2O next. No. I would suggest if you did have any more interest, watching the first of the reboots is interesting, because Jamie Lee Curtis is a badass and kind of fun to watch.
Cool.
And then the one after that, they bring a bunch of characters back, which is kind of cool. But it's weird because the little girl from 4, I believe, is in and who's in a bunch of them, is in the second of the reboots. But if all of those other movies are negated, it's sort of like her connection to it is weird. This is like having an actor in there because they're part of the franchise or whatever, I guess. But yeah, that first one is interesting. The last one, I'm sorry, folks, if you disagree with me, but the last one is a slap in the face. It's not a Halloween film.
Yeah.
They basically take Michael out of commission, and he's not really the killer.
Oh, and that just doesn't make sense then.
Yeah, and he's in the movie. He's just not the killer.
Oh. Okay.
It's a depressing end to the franchise. Damn you, Danny McBride.
Danny McBride.
Yeah, he was. He's when him and someone else are the ones who rebooted the series. Yeah.
Oh.
And that first one's great.
So random.
Hey, people are fans of stuff, you know?
This is true.
Man, if I could reboot Maximum Overdrive, I would.
I don't know what that is.
We're not putting it in the bucket.
Okay.
As much as we've done it. We listened to the episode of Do the Right Thing on Maximum Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a Stephen King movie that he actually wrote and I think directed. And he was absolutely coked out of his mind when he wrote it. And he's talked about this in interviews.
There are multiple books he doesn't remember writing.
Yeah, he's locked in a motel room, just piles of cocaine, making this movie, and I would love to remake it because I think it would work better now than it did then. And the idea is that in the movie, a meteor passes by the Earth, and it somehow makes all of the electronics go haywire and start killing people. So cars start driving themselves and lawnmowers start running people over. And hilariously, a vending machine shoots cans of Coke at people and kills them. It's awesome. But I think in this day and age of everything being connected to the internet and AI, I think there could be a really interesting story in that. Don't steal that, people. That was my idea.
Don't steal it.
It was my idea first.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Just cut that out.
I have lots of remakes I'd love to do, but I think a remake is only necessary when you have something new you can say about it.
Yeah.
If you're just remaking the same thing, there's no point.
Right.
But if you can say something new, then it's worth it. And that's why I was a little hesitant about West Side Story being remade, which is a remake of Romeo and Juliet, anyways. But the fact that Spielberg was doing it, I was like, okay. I know he's going to do something different, and he brought a sense of authenticity to it that the original, as much as I love it, doesn't have. So, how many white people do you need to paint to look like Puerto Ricans, And, or you could cast Puerto Rican people. Yeah. And then they can go on and win Oscars, so it's great.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But we're not talking about West Side Story. We were talking about Halloween's. Thank you, everybody, for the spooky season. We're moving on to November. And, yeah, I know, the pork bucket. You get to show it on camera. Show the pork. Yeah, there we go. Get that pork out there. Beautiful little pork. Viewsters, you can name the pork. Let us know what the pork's name is. We get to decide. We get to decide which name we choose, but you get to suggest the names. Okay. Don't call it Porgy McPorkface or anything like that, because we're not picking that.
And not Porgy and Bess. That's just no.
It's in the bucket though.
Porgy and Bess?
I think so.
Oh my god. Wouldn't that be incredible if that's what I pulled?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
We're redrawing if that's no, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's a skinny one.
Uh-oh. It says you are going to be so upset.
Transformers, old versus new.
So we're watching 2 movies again.
Yay!
Hey, you pulled it.
I did.
Sorry.
Damn it.
There's some stuff in here that isn't actually necessarily like you have to watch it before you die.
Yeah.
But I think there's things in here that kind of like this Halloween thing, although I do think the first Halloween is you should watch it before you die.
Yes.
But sort of like an interesting idea of like comparing some pop culture icons, and Transformers is absolutely a pop culture icon.
Yeah,
and
never seen it.
Either of them?
None.
Okay, so
None
there's
of them.
so we're gonna here's what's neat.
Wait, there's
So here, I'm gonna tell you.
okay.
So we're gonna watch an animated film from the 80s, and then we're gonna watch a live action. I could put it in quotes because there's a lot of CG. A live action film
Cool.
from the 2000s, and they're pretty fun.
Okay.
But it's like metal things beating the shit out of each other. It's cool.
Okay.
It's fun. It's like popcorn and loud noises
Great.
and really great voice acting.
Oh,
Like
great.
the coolest Optimus Prime, coolest voice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
I am
Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox,
I'm
your favorites.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's good. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, not good, but fun. It's Michael Bay. The new one's Michael Bay. So it's like, spinning cameras and hot guys and hot girls and
Great.
explosions. Yeah, explosions. Great. All right. Until next time, everyone, bon cinema.